Welcome to the Wargrove of Will, and in today's video we're going to be going over the Karadron Overlords, GW's attempt to put 40k in Age of Sigmar. First up we have the only non-conditional battle line option that KO has access to, the Arcana Company. These guys are your basic Sky Dwarves. They have a stat line of 4-inch move, 6 bravery, 1 wound each, and a 4-up save. Then they have a few missile profiles, to say the least. They start with the Privateer Pistol, which is 9-inch reach, 2 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, no rend, 1 damage. Some of them can have access to the Aethermatic Volley Gun, which is a 12-inch reach, 6 attacks, 5s to hit, 5s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. Some of them can have access to the Light Skyhook, which is 12-inch reach, 1 attack, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, 2 rend, d3 damage, and then the leader can have the Aether Flare Pistol, which is 9-inch reach, 2 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, no rend, 1 damage, and some of them can have access to the Volley Pistol, 9-inch reach, 3 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, no rend, 1 damage. For melee profiles, they have a few. The Archnaut Cutter, which is 1-inch reach, 1 attack, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, no rend, 1 damage. And then the Gun Butts, 1-inch reach, 1 attack, 4s to hit, 5s to wound, no rend, 1 damage. And then some of them can have access to the Sky Pike, which is 2-inch reach, 2 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, d3 damage. So how do all of these profiles shake out? Well, 1 in 10 can have the Aethermatic Volley Gun and the Gun Butt. 1 in 10 can have a Sky Hook and Gun Butt. 1 in 10 can have the Sky Pike alongside their regular equipment. And then the leader gets access to either the Aether Flare Pistol or the Volley Pistol. Additionally, if they are wholly within 9 inches of an objective, you can reroll Battle Shock tests as well as getting +1 to hit. And this doesn't work if they are garrisoned. So basically, if they are being transported in a boat, they do not get that bonus. The Arcana Company is a pretty good generalist ranged unit as far as infantry goes. They have a lot of options that can kind of deal with a lot of threats. They are fairly close ranged though, so they work best at sitting on objectives to get their bonus to hit and shoot anything that comes near them. They are good as objective holders and more defensive than anything. Just shoot what's trying to take objectives from them. If you're going to take Arcanaut companies, I would take them in squad sizes of 10. You'll see why, but a lot of KO is geared towards taking smaller unit sizes so they can fit in transport vessels or otherwise utilize some of the movement capabilities they have. You can take them in larger squads. I wouldn't recommend it because then you would just have to walk them to an objective. If you wanted to take a squad of 20 to just sit on an objective, but you'd have to walk there, that is an option. I don't think it's the best one because part of KO's strength is their surprising mobility. You wouldn't think dwarves are very fast, but you'd be surprised when they have A, a jetpack, or B, a giant blimp. Next is all the other battle line options. KO has a ton of conditional battle line options. First up is the engine riggers. In order to take them as battle line, you must have an engine master, general, and these guys are a little bit more of a specialized Arcanaut Company unit. They are fantastic support units. They have a stat line of 12-inch move, 10 bravery, 2 wounds, and a 4-up save. They have 4 missile profiles that they have various access to. The Aethermatic Volley Gun, which is 24-inch reach, 6 attacks, 4s and 4s to hit and wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. They can have the Grapple Net Launcher or Skyhook, which is 24-inch reach, 1 attack, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, 2 rend, 1 damage. And then they can have the Drill Launcher, 24-inch reach, 1 attack, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, 3 rend, d3 damage. And then they all have access to the Rapid Fire Rivet Gun, which is 12-inch reach, 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, and 1 damage. They have access to 2 melee profiles, the Aethermatic Saw, which is 1-inch reach, 1 attack, 2 attacks for the leader, 3s to hit, 2s to wound, 2 rend, d3 damage, or the gun butt for 1 inch reach, 1 attack, 2 for the leader, 4s to hit, 5s to wound, no rend, 1 damage. Onto their unique abilities. This is kind of what gives them their supportive role. Is at the start of your hero phase, you can roll a dice for each model in an Endrinrigger unit for a sky vessel within 1 inch of the Endrinriggers. And on a 4-up, you can heal a wound. So they're kind of like floating alongside your big boats and healing it as it goes along. Additionally, they can hitch a ride on the side of a sky vessel when it flies high. So if you are unaware, most, if not all, of the Karadron boats have an ability called Fly High, which essentially lets it teleport around the board. And so these guys can kind of latch onto the side of the boat and come with it as it teleports, which is a pretty powerful ability because if it is a larger boat, their grapple onto the side does not count towards the garrison or the transport capacity of your boat. So you can kind of tack them on as needed. If you equip them with a skyhook, they get +1 to charge. 6s to hit with the drill launcher, deal 3 mortal wounds. And enemies cannot retreat if within 3 inches of a model armed with a grapple net launcher. So how these various weapons pan out is 1 and 3 can have the volley gun and gun butt, and then 1 and 3 can have one of the following options: a drill launcher and gun butt, a grapple net and gun butt, and then a skyhook and gun butt. So these are a boat support unit. They work in tandem well with boats and your other units. They are pretty scary in terms of their ranged firepower, and they're not too bad in melee either, but there's a different variant of an Endrinrigger that is better in melee. We'll get to them next. They are best to float around with your sky vessels to heal them and support them with gunfire, or you can just kind of have them do their own thing and lay down withering firepower on your enemy. If you are wanting to take Endrinriggers, I would take them in squad sizes of 3 to 6. As for their weapon loadouts, all of them are pretty good. I think it mostly depends on which buffs you're trying to get and which ones you're going to kind of use them for. I think the volley gun is pretty good, so that's my personal choice. Next up, we have the Sky Wardens. These are your more melee-oriented Endrinriggers. Similar to the Endrinriggers, they must have an Endrin Master as your general. They have a stat line of 12-inch move, 7 bravery, 2 wounds, and a 4-up save. They have all of the same missile profiles except the rivet gun. Instead of the rivet gun, they have a vulcanizer pistol, which is 9-inch reach, 2 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. They have a different melee profile, the Sky Pike, which is 2-inch reach, 2 attacks, 3 attacks for the leader, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, d3 damage. So their unique abilities: if a flying unit charges a Sky Warden, you can roll a dice for each Warden in the unit, and each 6 deals a mortal wound. They have a little parting shot ability where they deal d3 mortal wounds on a 4-up to each enemy within 3 inches of the Sky Warden's unit if they retreat. So they kind of drop a bomb as they're heading out. Additionally, they can hitch a ride on a sky vessel similar to the Endrinriggers, and they have a bunch of the same abilities as the Endrinriggers. They have the +1 to charge equipped with the skyhooks. They have the 6s to hit with the drill launcher. They have the cannot retreat if within 3 of a grapple net launcher. And then 1 in 3 can pick to exchange their vulcanizer and pike for a volley gun and gun butt. And then 1 in 10, or excuse me, not 1 in 10, 1 in 3 can exchange for one of the specialized weapon profiles. So this is a little bit of an odd offensive boat support unit. So if the Endrinrigger was more defensive and there to support and heal your boats, these guys are there to go in front of the boats and poke at or shoot at anything that's going to try and come near. They are 5 points cheaper than an Endrinrigger, so they're a little bit easier to take, and they have a little bit of a better melee threat than an Endrinrigger. I would say they're comparable to an Endrinrigger, but the Endrinrigger's healing abilities and just more supportive role is a little bit more valuable, I think, to KO and their boats. So if I had to choose one or the other, I would pick an Endrinrigger, but that doesn't mean Sky Wardens don't have their place. If you're wanting to maximize their efficientness, take in squads of 3 to 6. Next, we have the Grundstrock Thunderers. In order to take them, you must be in the Barrack Nor subfaction. They have a stat line of 4-inch move, 7 bravery, 2 wounds, and a 4-up save. And these guys have a lot of melee profiles, or not melee profiles, excuse me, missile profiles. Pretty much every single one of the 5 models you get in the unit can take a different gun. These guys are kind of like your heavy weapon squads. They are close combat, and they just want to be in the enemy's face and hit them with a double-barreled shotgun. They're pretty cool models. I love the way these guys look, and just kind of the very Rambo, I want to get in your face kind of playstyle they have is pretty funny to me. They have the Aether Shot Rifle for their first missile profile, a 18-inch reach, 2 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. The leader has access to the double-barreled Aether Shot Rifle, 18-inch reach, 4 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. And then one of them can have an Aetheric Fumigator if you're feeling like doing war crimes, for 9-inch reach, 3 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. One can have a Deck Sweeper for 12-inch reach, 4 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. One of them can have a Aether Cannon if you feel like having a massive broadside cannon, which is 12-inch reach, 1 attack, 4s to hit, 2s to wound, 2 rend, d3 damage. And then one of them can just have a full-on mortar, so that's cool. 12-inch reach, 1 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, no rend, d3 damage. For melee profiles, they have the Drill Bill for 3-inch reach, d3 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage, and then the Gun Butt. It's the same gun butt profile as earlier, but it hits on 4s and wounds on 4s. So how all of these different melee profile, or excuse me, ranged profiles work out is 1 in 5 can have the mortar, 1 in 5 can have the cannon, 1 in 5 can have the fumigator, 1 in 5 can have the depth sweeper. And then the leader gets the double-barreled rifle, as well as both melee profiles, the drill bill and the gun butt. And then 1 in 5 can have a honor bearer, which lets you reroll battle shock tests. And then if an enemy is within 3 of you, within 3 of the model armed with the fumigator, they get a -1 to hit. And here's what kind of makes them close quarters combat-y, is if they are in combat with a unit, they get a +1 attack to all their missile profiles. So that's kind of an interesting buff that they get, what really lends them to that get in your face and blast you with a shotgun kind of playstyle. Something else that's interesting is you get a +1 to hit with your mortar, your deck sweeper, or your Aetheric cannon if you have at least one of each of the weapon types. So if you just kind of get one of each, you can increase their attack capability. I think these guys are really cool. They are like your heavy weapon squads. They're got a whole bunch of different profiles, and they just want to be up close and personal. You want to take each of the missile profiles for the various buffs they give, as well as the +1 to hit for having each of the profiles. And if you're going to take Thunderers, I would take in squad sizes of 5 to 10. If you really enjoy these guys like I do, I think having a squad size of 15 would not be a bad choice. But like I said with the Arcana Company, having larger squad sizes makes it a little bit harder to transport them. So do that at your own risk. Next up, we have the first of the blimp boats for the KO. This is the Grundstrock Gun Hauler, or Gun Hauler for short. In order to take these as Battleline, you must be in the Barrack Urbaz subfaction. This little boat has a 12-inch move, 7 bravery, 10 wounds, and a 4-up save. It has a few missile profiles. The Sky Cannon has 2 different ammunition types, either shrapnel or shell. If you choose the shrapnel ammunition type, you have an 18-inch reach, d6 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 2 damage. or the shell, which is 24-inch reach, 1 attack, 3s to hit, 2s to wound, 2 rend, d6 damage. Then you can give it a drill cannon, which is 36-inch reach, 1 attack, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, no rend, d3 damage. Or excuse me, not no rend, 3 rend. That was my bad. And then the Aether Shot Carbine, 12-inch reach, 2 attacks, 3s to hit, 4s to wound, 1 rend, 1 damage. And then for immediate profile, they have the boarding weapons, 1-inch reach, 4 attacks, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, no rend, 1 damage. So you get to choose between the Sky Cannon and the Drill Cannon. I personally think the Sky Cannon is just significantly better than the Drill Cannon. Once per game, you can tell the gun hauler to just give it all she's got, and you get a +6 to the movement. If this gun hauler is near other boats that are not gun haulers, you can give those other boats a 6-up ward, which is really powerful. It has a bomb that it can drop on a 4+, dealing D3 mortal wounds to enemies within 1 inch. It can retreat and shoot, and it can fly high. So just a refresher, fly high is the gunboat's teleport. That's where they can just kind of appear 9 inches away from an enemy, anywhere on the board. For the drill cannon, 5s and 6s to hit, deal just flat 3 mortal wounds. And as with all different ammunition types, you must choose which ammunition to use in the Sky Cannon before shooting. So this is a cute little escort vehicle. They are the smallest blimp or sky vehicle that the Karadron Overlords have access to, as far as I'm aware. They have fantastic movement abilities, and they work well with having Endron Riggers attached to them, so you can have extra support if you need to either heal the gun hauler itself or help out whatever bigger boat your gun hauler is escorting. To maximize their efficientness, take near other boats, so you want to always have that 6-up ward on, because your boats are very powerful, and just having an after save with your 6+ is powerful. I think that the Sky Cannon beats the Drill Cannon every day. I think having the versatility of choosing your ammunition type is always going to be powerful. Last but not least, we have the Archnaut Frigate. In order to take this as a battle line, you must be in the Barrack Ziflin subfaction. So this is a big boat. For movement capabilities, it has a degrading move profile starting at 12 inches. It has 8 bravery, 14 wounds, a 4-up save, and then it has a enhanced version of the Sky Cannon, which is the same thing as the gun hauler had. The heavy Sky Cannon has 24-inch reach for the shrapnel rounds, d6 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 2 damage. The shell variant has 30 inches of reach, 1 attack, 3s to hit, 2s to wound, 2 rend, d6 damage. Instead of the drill cannon, you have the heavy skyhook, which is 24-inch reach, 1 attack, 3s to hit, 2s to wound, 2 rend, d6 damage, and then the Aether Shot Carbine, 12-inch reach, 4 attacks, 3s to hit, 3s to wound, 1 rend, 2 damage. They have the boarding weapons profile, which is 1-inch reach, and then a degrading chart for attacks that start at 6, 4s and 4s to hit and wound, no rend, 1 damage. So this is a unique little vehicle. It can transport up to 15 marine models. So if you aren't unaware, marine is a keyword that most of your little dudes have, like your Arcana Company. But if you are transporting 11 or more, you halve the movement characteristic of the boat, and you cannot fly high. It natively heals 1 wound per phase in your hero phase. Or not, excuse me, let me rephrase that. It heals 1 wound per your hero phase. And it can reroll run rolls natively. It has a bomb rack. On a 4+, you can deal D3 mortal wounds to an enemy within 1 inches, and you have a modifier on your damage chart that helps get those bombs off. It can retreat and shoot as long as it has not suffered enough wounds. So as long as you see that disengage keyword on the damage chart, you can retreat and still shoot. It has a +2 to charge roll if it is equipped with the heavy skyhook. And as with the gun hauler, you must choose the ammunition before shooting with the Sky Cannon. Oh, something else that I forgot to mention is the fly high ability is on this model as well, but it goes away if the frigate has degraded enough, as you see on the damage chart. So this is the second biggest boat KO has access to, and it is a very powerful movement tool and a good firepower tool. This is how you get your troops into key points on the battlefield, drop off your Arcana Company on a objective you want them to hold, or otherwise move your slow dwarves around. If you are wanting to maximize your efficientness with your frigate, make sure to utilize its movement capabilities and its transport, as well as equip it with the Sky Cannon. This is one of the bigger boats that I recommend having a gun hauler or two nearby just to kind of help it out. So that was the Karadron Overlords Battleline options. These guys are a really cool faction. They have an awesome aesthetic, and they play very differently to many of the factions in Age of Sigmar. They kind of remind me a whole bunch of 40k and how you have many different weapon profiles in the same unit, as well as the transport vehicles. So it's a neat little crossover. This is the premier shooting faction. If you enjoy shooting things with guns or otherwise, KO is probably for you. Well, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like or a comment. And if you enjoy this type of content, consider subscribing. This has been the Wardgrove of Will, and I'll see you guys next time.